In this episode, we chat with director Sanja Zivkovic, who is at the Vancouver International Film Festival with her film Cat's Cry, and she generously let us pick her brain. We go all the way in, and we'll be chatting about her film, the process, her background, her way into filmmaking, some Haneke, some Sex and the City. So please tune in. Welcome to the VIFF podcast. This is your chance to get the inside track from the people behind the films you love and the films you're yet to discover. This podcast was recorded on the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. Recorded during the 43rd edition of the Vancouver International Film Festival, these conversations take us behind the scenes with the creators bringing their work to the big screen. I'm Sonja Baksa, and today I'll be in conversation with Sanja Zivkovic. Welcome, Sanja.
Oh, thank you so much, Sonja. It's been such a pleasure to be here at VIFF for the last week, I feel. I can't believe it's almost over. I'm a little bit sad that it's coming to an end because it's been such a wonderful experience. So thank you for everything. Thank you to the Vancouver International Film Festival and personally to you and to Curtis for, bringing me here and having me.
It was a great pleasure. And for everyone listening, Sanja had the world premiere of her second feature film, Cat's Cry, which was met with standing ovations in both screenings. So congratulations on that. I think the audience was really moved with the film and your story. And can you tell us a little bit about the film in your own words, what it's about?
Yeah, sure. So I can speak about the synopsis and what the story is, but maybe starting with how I got involved would kind of give some context to why me? Why did I direct this film? So this is the first film that I haven't written. I usually write my own films. It came to me through my friend Vlad Paskaljević, whose father was a very famous Serbian director, Goran Paskaljević. And I grew up watching Goran's films, so I knew very much of him. I didn't ever meet him, even though Vlad and I were friends for a long time. But anyways, just to cut the story shorter, so Goran unfortunately passed away in September 2020. And before he could finish a film that he had been working on for years, which is Cat's Cry, he wrote the script based on a true story about a man in a small town in Serbia who struggles to get custody of his granddaughter, who has this condition called Cat's Cry syndrome. Meanwhile, the daughter, his daughter, who is the mother of the little girl, tries to find her own path through this very unwelcoming society that sees the child as a burden. So it's a very poignant story, but it also has this kind of political backdrop with the bureaucracy and a family drama all together. And so I read this script because Vlad, 6 months after his father passed away, asked me for my opinion on what I thought. He was planning on directing, and he wanted to know what I thought because I think he was on the fence about whether to do it because he was afraid that he was going to be compared to his father or something. I think that was what his reasoning was. So he wasn't sure whether to do it or not. And once I read it, I was so moved and so connected to the Milena character that, I felt really strongly that he needed to make this film. And I told him that. And I was like, you have to make this film. Let me help you in any way I can. I was living in Serbia at the time, and so I was like, I can help you with casting or any script notes or anything like that. And then he called me back a few weeks later, and he said, I want you to direct this. Will you? He also asked me. It wasn't just I want you to direct it and you're going to do this, but can you do this? And I was like, well, Vlada, I'm 5 months pregnant, something that he didn't know when he asked me. And I was actually really surprised when he was just like, okay, well, what does that change. Like you can direct it before you give birth or after you get, like whenever you want, And so, I mean, it took a few years like of development more and, until we got like all the funding, because it had some funding from Serbia already that his father had got. And then, we got Telefilm involved and HAVC, which is the Croatian audiovisual center. And so it became this like ambitious co-production in the end.
And I think one of the things we touched upon in the Q&As is that initially the screenplay was kind of handled from a male perspective. So when they brought you on, you added a female kind of into this story, because it's so complex in terms of the characters involved, and especially the young mother who kind of ends up rejecting the child. Can you tell us a little bit about that approach, you adding your own voice to the female characters?
Yeah, sure. So this script was written by two males who were, I mean, Goran Paskaljević passed away, but Đorđe Sibinović, who is the co-writer, is also like an older male. And I think that they related automatically, of course, to the grandfather. And they saw this film very much from his point of view. But yet they made the choice of including, this other character in a supporting role. And so I was like, either, you tell just the grandfather's story from this kind of like male gaze perspective, which is fine. I loved the idea of that. Like, it reminded me of I, Daniel Blake by Ken Loach. But that would have been a different film, right? Because they wrote in this young woman. And I just felt like, she needed to be a bigger part of the story because she was there. It's like, if she's there, then we need to tell her story right. Either we take her out or we really develop her. And I think that what helped me in expanding on this character was working with the actress Andrijana Đorđević, who, even though this is her first feature film role and it's very much like a discovery, was just so mature in like the questions that she posed about the character. Like, why would Milena do this? Why is Milena this? Like, what type of music does Milena listen to? That wasn't in there. That's something that I added, I was like, well, this is what, the young people in Serbia like. So, this is something that was added by me and Andrijana actually throughout this process of like working together for months. And yeah.
Right. And I think also it's kind of a testament to your skill as a storyteller, is the way you kind of, I think, work with the actors, because you get these incredible performances out of them. I think your first film, Easyland, which also played VIFF in 2019, was also so complex with the characters. Can you tell us a little bit about how you approached the whole casting process and how you worked with the actors? Because the performances are so naturalistic, so touching and moving. I think it's the heart of the film in many ways.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I mean, I put a lot of effort into casting, kind of like the right people that I know that I can work with later on. But there's a certain sensibility that I like in actors, And so Yasmin was involved in this film when Vlado was supposed to direct it. So he was kind of like passed down onto me, but I had the choice. Of course, he's like, you don't have to take Yasmin. But he, I think, is just incredible, like in the sense, like he's the type of actor that I like, because he just lives in the space of that character. It's not like he's putting on a performance. It's not like I don't even need people to necessarily stick to every single line the way that it was written. I like to give actors that freedom, because for me, I think that they should just live in the space of that character, and he does that so well. And so it was really about finding people that are going to match that kind of energy. And it was a huge cast. I mean, for me, it was like 35 people, like with a lot of cameos. People were telling me, like, you have a lot of cameos. Like, and I'm like, this is the way the script was written, because I guess it was it's about this society, right? So we have to have all these kind of small characters that are going to represent some aspect of that society, right? So what I did is I had like 6 months of auditions. I knew a lot of actors in Serbia. I watched a lot of Serbian films and the region, also Croatia, right, because of the co-production. But I really wanted to get like really well acquainted, and I saw a lot of people for it. In the end, I decided to open up the doors to non-actors from like amateur theater in Požarevac, which is the city that we shot in, because I felt like a lot of them just were the characters, like the midwife. She is a midwife. The harmonica player.
Right.
Harmonica player is like that's his life. He's a harmonica player, and I think that is like so true in the film. Like you could not have found someone to act that, or maybe you could, but like he also had the skill of playing the harmonica, right? So that was an interesting process, because then like I had all these, like the entire town come out for these auditions, and most of it worked out really well. It was my first time working with non-actors, so some parts I wasn't as happy with, but it wasn't even because of them. It was just like, it was a new process to me. So, in the end, I felt like I was happy with everything that ended up in the film. Like, I felt like they were in the same kind of space, like they were all convincingly, like living in that, in that world of the film. Yeah.
And I'd like to go back a little bit to, you mentioned that you were pregnant when you were writing the script, and now looking back, can you see in what way it kind of made its way into the story and your approach to the film?
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, when I read the script, I was pregnant, right?
Yeah.
So this is like, I automatically, connected to Milena, who also coincidentally, not that it makes like much difference, but also had a little girl, and definitely it helped with like that postpartum moment where you realize how much your life has changed, that you have a baby. Now I can't relate to the aspect that the child, like what she's going through. I definitely cannot put myself in that position. But I think that I've spent enough time with people who have seen the system and the problems within the system. And I mean, I felt it myself, like going to a hospital in Serbia or speaking to people about disability in Serbia and just seeing their attitude overall to that. So I don't know, like I felt like it was familiar territory still. So and then my daughter was 2 when I shot the film. So that was also interesting. But I mean, like, I guess that doesn't matter now. Because the writing process, I didn't really write the script. Like I just gave the Milena character more room.
Right.
And a lot of these decisions just happened on the set. So I wouldn't take like a writing credit for this. It's like very much a film by Goran Paskaljević and co-written by Đorđe Sibinović. But with a lot of creative liberty given to me as well.
Well, as a viewer, it was very clear to me, at least, that you approached her character with a lot of compassion, which not a lot of people would have, and especially in that environment, the context can be pretty rough and judgmental. And I'm also curious because this is essentially a Serbian story, and you grew up in Canada. How did your Canadian perspective or the fact that you were coming, I don't know, you went to school in Canada, right?
Yeah.
Film school. So how did that influence the way you saw the story and approached filming in Serbia, and just your path into that context?
Yeah. I feel, honestly, having spent like half my life in Serbia, half my life in Canada, I still feel like a bit of an outsider in Serbia, and I see some things like in a way that I think that I couldn't see the same things in Canada because I'm too much in it. But with Serbia, I'm able to still kind of look at it from what it is from an exterior point of view, and like understand that there's something very wrong with their social system, understand that there's conflicts there that aren't necessarily conflicts somewhere else, right? Because I have that outside experience. So I think that helped me, like that outsider's point of view kind of helped me understand that this is something that's not normal, that this is like something that's not okay, like the way that, you know, disabled people are treated as a burden on society, or the way that this mother is just like told to, you know, forget about her baby and move on. And I don't know, like maybe I don't have that exact experience. I don't know if I'm answering this question that well, but I feel like because I'm able to look at it from an outside perspective, that maybe this film ended up being very different than if somebody from Serbia had directed it. Right. And I hope that's a good thing. I don't know. Like, it would be different. Definitely a different film than Goran Paskaljević would have directed.
And is this the first film that you shot in Serbia?
I shot some shorts because I went to the Faculty of Dramatic Arts for my master's. So I made like 2 shorts in Serbia. So it wasn't like I was a complete like fish out of water, but still, I think working on a student level and then working on like this kind of, I guess, more professional level, totally different experiences. I don't know what else to say about that.
No, I'm curious. And also, did you feel kind of embraced by the industry, the film industry there when you were shooting?
Yeah. I think that Vlad Paskaljević really gave me wings in that sense, because he was just like, this is who I chose to make the film.
Right.
And back off, you know, because I think a lot of people were like, why her? Like, why this like young Canadian woman? And I think part of it was because he liked Easyland and we were friends. And I guess when he was thinking about who would connect to Milena, maybe he thought of me. Like, I don't know if he was expecting me to connect to Milena. I don't know. But when I did, he was like happy. Like he was really happy about that, because he's like, oh, now we can tell this story in a fair way, you know, so that she's represented as well.
So he backed you up.
Yeah, he backed me up, and honestly, the crew was a pleasure to work with. Like they really helped out. Like from day one, they were there for me, and you know, we became like a family. You know, I think it was just like maybe entering the project, people might have been a little bit skeptical. Well, once we were there, it was just like, you know, you're like in a machine and you're working, and everyone just has to listen to me. Like that's
exactly.
Has to
you're the boss.
Yeah, no choice.
Yeah. And I'm curious about your own path into filmmaking. What made you want to be
a filmmaker?
Yeah.
Well, I started off with theater. I went to, actually, if you know, Arts Umbrella. I don't know if that exists. It's on Granville Island. Yeah. So I was in the junior theater troupe there, and I loved acting. And then at some point, even in high school, I was put in a position where I would direct actors. Like, I don't know if they saw me more as like, I don't know if I was really that talented for acting. I think that they were just like, she wants to be, you know, involved in this, but like, let's try her out as a director. And I loved that much more. And then also I loved film. I started watching like auteur films when I was like 16. My friend, who was Mexican, introduced me to Alfonso Cuarón and Y Tu Mama Tambien. And I think that film like really opened up some new points of views to me, because I was just watching Hollywood, like growing up in Vancouver. That's what that's what you see. Like, I don't know, or maybe I just didn't have the right access to independent films until I started coming to VIFF later on, though. But I remember seeing that film and just being like, wow, there's a voice behind this. Like, I feel it. I feel that there's someone making these like creative decisions. It's not just like shot and edited like in this kind of TV style, or just like a commercial kind of style. And that got me thinking about like, how would I like to tell stories, you know, like, and like, do I have the freedom to do it in the way that I wanted? So I spent a lot of time experimenting playing around with like friends. I got like this one chip mini DV camera, and we made a lot of videos. We made skate videos actually. That was because I was friends with a bunch of like skaters. And
were you a skater?
I was kind of a skater. I wouldn't really say that I was amazing, but I did like biking as well up at SFU, and like we would just go skating, biking, rollerbladers, everything, and kind of make stories out of that. But then, I mean, eventually it developed into like an actual, like a story. It wasn't just about editing it to cool music or something, And then I went to SFU. And then after that, I decided, because I didn't know when at SFU, the film program, it kind of teaches you everything. It's not like focused on one thing. Like maybe we had like one directing actors class, which was amazing. I remember it was really good. But, for me, I think that I realized I wanted to direct, and I realized I needed kind of to learn more about that. So I did my master's in directing in Serbia. And again, I chose something that was different, just to get that new experience, but also to like get out of my comfort zone, because I've been living in Vancouver my whole life, and it just felt like, it just felt like not like stale. Stale is like a bad word, but I just felt like I wasn't inspired anymore.
Yeah, but I think that's a good thing, because you kind of like in that way you also leaned into your cultural roots, and that kind of enriches your output as a filmmaker. I think that was an important step.
Yeah, I think so too. Like it opened up like this possibility for new stories, for new narratives that I hadn't thought of before. I mean, the main narrative that a lot of people in my position have that have like dual citizenship is the immigrant story, right? And I mean, it's a great story to tell. I think that it's an important story, and I'm glad that I did that as well. But I feel like there are so many stories in Serbia that are like urgent and need to be told. So I'm really inspired by being there and taking all that in. Yeah.
And I'm curious about like, what are some of your favorite filmmakers? Someone that really kind of during that, your education that kind of really stuck with you, and if you kind of maybe leaned into any references while making this film.
Yeah. Well, during my education, like when I was a film student, I remember, like, so I mentioned Alfonso Cuarón is like my, it was like a trigger, but I also started watching Cassavetes, and The Woman Under the Influence actually really weirdly like connected to my personal story. I mean, I never wanted to like set out and remake something like that, but it definitely like inspired Easyland.
Right.
And the mother character and all that. But yeah, just like anything with Gina Rollins was, was really inspiring. And then who else? Like I liked Andrea Arnold. I went through this huge like Andrea Arnold fan phase, which I felt like a lot of film students were going through that. Everyone's like Fish Tank, like the best film ever. Yeah. But I like that visual aesthetic as well. I like Dogma 95 films. Like one of my favorite filmmakers is Winterberg. So from Festen, but also Jagtin, The Hunt, and his latest film, Another Round. I think that informs me like visually. Like I just like how he tells his stories, but also like kind of, I guess, how he works with his actors, because they have that same feeling that I want to achieve. They just feel very lived in, So especially his work with Mads Mikkelsen, who's like one of my favorite actors and who I met when I was living in Toronto. Yeah, we met in an elevator. It was really fun.
What was he like?
He was he seemed very intimidating to me. Like I was afraid to speak to him, but once I did, he was extremely friendly. Okay. And I told him I was a filmmaker, but it was really funny because he walked into the building and he smelled like smoke. Like it was raining outside and he smelled so much like smoke. And that is like rare in Canada. Like that someone just like went out, and I was like, this guy must be like European. And I turn around and I'm like, if that's like Mads Mikkelsen, I don't know. And then we walk into the same elevator and I'm just like, yeah, sorry. But
you talked to him. That's good.
I talked to him. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Do you hope to work with him?
Yeah, but I mean, come on.
Let's just now like put that out there into the universe.
Yeah.
You know,
If Mass, like, please listen to this podcast, and
I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that.
But what was I saying? Oh yeah, I was just going on about all the different filmmakers that I like, and I really like Ken Loach. Like I liked I Daniel Blake. So when I read this script, it was just like an automatic connection to that. You know, just the stories that he tells and how he tells them, and it always just feels so like, damn, this is like so important, you know, and it has so much weight. So yeah. And Mike Lee, and okay, so I should just keep going.
No. But that's I was curious about what, but it's still like the film is so you in a sense that there's a sense of authorship, which is really, really difficult, and I think that's what kind of why we're so excited to see what else you make, because there is definitely a voice that you're giving to your films and just the way you approach these stories. And on that note, I don't know if you're comfortable telling us what you're working on next.
Well, it's just not developed enough, and I haven't really committed to it yet. So I don't know if I should speak about it, honestly.
That's
but
okay.
One thing that I'll say is like I hope that it takes place on an island in Croatia that I really love, Hvar. So we'll see, during the winter time though, like not during tourist season. So
yeah,
we'll see. And it would be like something, the first time I'd play with genre. So that's something.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Exciting. Well, let's dive into some of these questions that we have here.
Okay.
Let's see how.
Do I get one too to ask you, or?
Sure. Sure.
Why not?
Okay.
Okay, you do go.
I'll go first. Okay. What's a film that you think would make a great theme park ride?
Can I pick my own film? Can I say like Easyland would be like a great like theme park?
Yeah,
park ride. Like it is an emotional ride, that's for sure. It was an emotional ride for me to make it, so I'm like it would be emotional. I don't know.
You can see specific junctures.
Yeah.
Okay. But I regardless of this, I'm actually curious. What do you watch for fun? Like, what do you like? Everyone has like a guilty pleasure. I hate calling it guilty pleasure because it's part of the
totally. But
film
I have
diet.
like so many guilty pleasures. It's like ridiculous. I mean, I rewatched Sex and the City, and like who would have thought, right? But like I'll switch with Carrie. You know, I'll switch with Carrie. And just like hang out in that world a little bit.
That could also be a theme park ride as well.
That would be the best theme park ride. It definitely would be. And like, I would just love to not like have her problems, but like just go shopping, and like that being
all the
important.
shoes.
No, but that being like really important to me, because I feel like, I mean, I respect that. I really do respect that, but I just don't have time for stuff like that, you know? And I would just love for that to be like my priority, to like go out with my friends, you know, meet people, just be like immersed like in, you know, in these like really exciting environments all the time. Yeah. And she could like babysit my kid, you know? So
that's good. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see that.
But yeah, other guilty pleasures. I don't know. I just watch like everything that I can.
Which I think is important. You know, it's part of the cultural moment. Everything kind of affects what we do, and as both in private lives and also in our jobs, and especially in this industry, whether it's, you know, on the festival side or in the creative side. I think it's important to acknowledge what's out there and soak it up, and then kind of incorporate that.
Yeah. I'm just worried. One thing that I'm afraid is like if I watch too much TV, that kind of takes over my aesthetic.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I try to break it up with like watching Mubi or something, you know, and just being like, boom, like this is just to not get too carried away, because I think that later on it kind of does reflect in my work that I'm just like, I feel like I need to cut to a close up now, and I feel like, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to have those kind of impulses, I guess. Right. Yeah.
I don't see that like in your films, but like it's good that you have that as well, because I think it's also maybe it informs filmmaking in a way that gives you like a bit of lightness in it, which is important, I think.
Which I think that's important too, especially when you're telling like these really like sad and you know, hard, heavy stories, like having just some lightness. And like for us, for example, like that scene with the harmonica player when they're like all, you know, partying and in the house, like everyone felt like just such a relief when we were shooting that, and we just had such a good time. And I think that maybe the audience at that point felt like a relief, although the tension was still built, like which had just started building, right? But like that, you need to break it up. You need to break it up, like. Like I remember watching like Amor by Haneke. And I mean, I really do respect that film. I think it's a very good film, but it was just like, it was so hard, and there was nothing in, like there was no relief in that film at all. And I remember thinking like later on, I'm like, just, I mean, not that I'm going to ever like compare myself to Haneke or anything like that, but like in my own work, I don't want to do that to people. You know, I try not to, although everyone tells me later on that, you know, like they cried and stuff. But maybe that's unavoidable.
Well, I was talking about this, I think, with Emilia Gasic, another Serbian director who's here. We were talking about, you know, you watch Haneke film and you watch it once and you don't really
go back to it,
which is I mean it's definitely there for the audience to experience, but it's definitely in a different caliber of filmmaking, what you want the audience to take from it.
Except for the piano teacher.
Oh yes,
that one is like, I don't know, that was just different, I think. Like, 'cause
I'm like, I think just to kind of, as a last question, maybe I was, now that you mentioned that you had fun doing that scene with the harmonica, can you tell us a little bit about how it was behind the scenes? Was it fun? Was it somber? Because it's a heavy story.
It's funny. I talk about this so much. Like I'm always talking about like what it was like to work with the harmonica. I think it's just because for me it was so different. Like I hadn't experienced that like in Canada, where I feel like there's maybe more like strict rules as to like how you can behave on set. Like people were drinking, like actually drinking in, you know, in that scene. And what was interesting is that I just let it all happen. Like I didn't cut the sound at any point, which is something that you do, right? Like when you film a scene that's musical, you get them to pretend to be playing the instruments, right? Because how's the editor later going to put all these different pieces together, right? And then you record, I don't know, maybe some lines or something like that. But I was just like, I can't do it that way. Like it was a very in the moment kind of decision, because everyone's just having such a great time and that's reading so well. So I'm like, we're just gonna have to figure this out in post. And I remember the producers and like the AD and like the sound guy was like, what are you doing? Like he was literally like grabbing his head. And I think that I did do like one take where they weren't like actually singing, but for me that was just, you know, I wasn't feeling it. So the editor, Rada Vrabac, she edited fantastically. Like it wasn't easy, but like she was able to edit it with the production sound, with everyone like singing along to the songs, with like all the levels of the music and everything. And I think that that translated well in the film. I think that it felt real, you know.
It really did. It really did. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for
thank you, Sanja,
being so generous with your experience and with your time with us over the festival. Thank you for sharing this film with the world, because it's really powerful. It's a wonderful film, and we wish you much success with it on the festival circuit and the distribution circuit, wherever it goes. I think it will move a lot a lot of people. And we're very grateful that you were able to come to the festival. And yeah, well, I'm sure we'll see much more of you here.
Oh, I have a feeling too. It's been such a pleasure, and I can't wait to return to VIFF in the future with my next film. So
Absolutely.
thank you, Sonja.
Thank you, Sanja. You have been listening to the VIFF podcast. Thanks to our community broadcast partner, TELUS Story Hive, for their support. If you're enjoying the show, please rate and review the podcast, and be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Visit viff.org to learn more about the Vancouver International Film Festival and see what's on at the VIFF Center year-round.